Ladies and gentlemen, announcing the arrival of our honored guest, Mr. S.Y. Lau, accompanied by INTI's co-founders, Mr. Tan Yun Sing and Dr. Lee Fa Ong, CEO of INTI, Mr. Rohit Sharma, Vice Chancellor of INTI International University, Professor Dr. Rahman Muhammad, and Chairman of Board of Directors of INTI, Professor Dr. Insinyur Dr. Muhammad Zawawi bin Ismail. very good morning to Mr. Rohit Sharma, CEO of INTI International University and Colleges, Professor Dr. Rahma Muhammad, Vice Chancellor of INTI International University, Nilai, Mr. Tan Yu Singh, Chairman and co-founder of INTI University and Colleges, Emeritus Professor Dr. Lee Fa On, co-founder of INTI International University and Colleges, Emeritus Professor Dato Insigne Dr. Muhammad Zawawi bin Ismail, Chairman of the Board of Directors of INTI Universal Holdings Sendirian Berhad, our honored guest, Mr. S.Y. Lau, Senior Executive Vice President of Tencent and President of Online Media Group, members of the Board of Governors, members of the Laureate Advisory Board, the Chief Executives of the respective INTI campuses, esteemed alumni and former colleagues, distinguished industry partners, members of the media, faculty and staff, students, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lisa Kwan, and I will be your MC for today. First and foremost, on behalf of INTI International University and Colleges, it is with utmost gratitude that we welcome you to our event this morning. On this momentous occasion, we wish to celebrate the people and milestones which have helped us to empower generations of students with the skills, knowledge, and invaluable experiences that have set them apart for their futures. We are also pleased to have with us an outstanding alumnus whose achievements have made a difference internationally and whose inspiring success story, we believe, will empower our present generation of students. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I cordially invite Mr. Rohit Sharma, CEO of INTI International University and Colleges, to give his welcoming speech.
Good morning everyone. First of all, a very warm welcome to Mr. S.Y. Lau, Senior Executive Vice President of Tencent and President of its Online Media Group, and our distinguished alumni. Mr. Tan Yu Singh, Chairman of INTI Education Holdings Sendirian Berhad, as well as co-founder of INTI International University and Colleges. Emeritus Professor Dr. Lee Fa On, member of the Board of Directors as well as co-founder of INTI International University and Colleges. Emeritus Professor Dr. Zawawi, Independent Director and Chairman of the Board of INTI Universal Holdings Sendirian Berhad. Members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, our esteemed colleagues, as well as faculty and most importantly all the students who are present here today. On behalf of INTI, I'd like to first extend a very warm welcome to all of you for being here today and taking out time from your busy schedules. It is indeed a great honor for us to gather here on this momentous occasion in conjunction with our 30th year anniversary celebration. And an event like this not just reflects our strength as a pioneer in Malaysian private higher education, but also the success we've had over the last 30 years. Since we kicked off our 30th year anniversary celebrations in January of this year, over the last 10 months, we've had several different events organized across the 6 different INTI campuses dedicated to our students' development and making sure that our students get a chance to interact with alumni from different walks of life who have graduated over the last 30 years. INTI in this last 30 years is proud to have graduated over more than 55,000 alumni who have gone on to create a mark for themselves in various walks of life. I would like to just take a couple of minutes to highlight a couple of these initiatives that we have held since the beginning of this year. The first one was Entrepreneur 2016. And this is a reflection of what the next generation of students coming into higher education are wanting. Our own landmark survey on Gen Z showed to us that close to 1/3 of students coming into higher education have an aspiration to become an entrepreneur. And this event, Entrepreneur 2016, was an 8-month competition which challenged participating students from across our different campuses to develop an innovation that can have an impact on society. As part of this competition, students were paired with a mentor who is an INTI alumni, who not only worked with them in developing their ideas, but also engaged them in growing those critical skills that we talk about that are very important in today's competitive environment. Entrepreneurial skill sets, problem solving, leadership skills, to name a few. The second event that we had this year in conjunction with our 30th year anniversary celebration was TEDx INTI. As many of you are aware and familiar with the globally renowned TED Talks, it was our own version of curating TED Talks at each of our 6 different campuses. As part of that, we welcomed a number of key speakers, including Robert Young, a multiple award-winning innovator and the winner of the 2014 Asia Pacific ICT Alliance Award; Joe Sadek, the festival director of the Georgetown Festival and managing director of the Top Fest Southeast Asia; and Swarna Naidu, the youngest competitor in Miss Universe Malaysia 2016 competition. All of them shared very powerful stories and ideas which I believe will inspire our students to unleash their passion so that they can reach out for their own dreams. The third event that we organized this year in conjunction with our 30th year anniversary celebration was something what we call Celeb INTI. And over the course of the last 10 months, we have welcomed a number of successful alumni to share their achievements and connect closely with our students through a series of presentations titled Celeb INTI. This ongoing program provides our students with an intimate insight into the journey of these influential leaders and hopefully inspires many of them to carve their own path. These initiatives, ladies and gentlemen, are amongst some of the many others as part of our effort to ensure that our students here at INTI receive an education that takes them beyond the classroom. It helps them grow as professionals, transform from teenagers into young, confident adults, and so that they can be successfully integrated into the workforce or start their own journey as entrepreneurs. Through efforts such as this, we have achieved some outstanding student outcomes. In a country where the average employability rate for fresh graduates is in the 70s%, we at INTI are very proud to share that INTI graduates have a 97% employability rate of being employed within 6 months of graduation. And to top that, over 16% of them actually have jobs even before they graduate. Our 100% internship placement and our work with over 130 different employer projects that we do with the likes of Google, IBM, Maybank, General Electric, and Uber every year also equips our students with those practical experiences that help them solve actual business issues. And that has, all of these things, again, very proud to share, has resulted in INTI graduates having a starting salary. 78% of them have a starting salary that is above the market average. And all of these things are what we collectively call the INTI edge. Students who come to INTI get an edge over students from other institutions that empowers each and every one of our students with the right skill sets and competencies that can help them become successful as they leave INTI. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to have with us today several such alumni and game changers, and to recognize one in particular as our Alumnus of the Year for 2016. An INTI graduate from the Pioneer class, Mr. S.Y. Lau is recognized as a global entrepreneur, media master, and technology evangelist. With over 20 years in both the media and internet industries, S.Y. Lau joined Tencent in 2006 and currently heads its online media group, one of the most respected media organizations in China. An affluent leader who speaks frequently at high-profile academic and industry events, such as the Boao Forum for Asia, the G20 Leading Event, the Brisbane Global Cafe, Viva Technology Paris, as well as in executive programs of major institutions such as the Harvard Business School, the Stanford University, and Oxford University. His influence reaches across a range of fields including internet trends, digital media, and the new economy. While a success story in his own right, SY Lau represents INTI's commitment to excellence and the dedication of many of those gathered here today in empowering young minds to achieve their greatest dreams. It is my hope that we continue to live up our legacy as one of the pioneers in the Malaysian higher education landscape and continue to be the champions of change for the dynamic leaders of the future. Through the dedication and support of our alumni, industry partners, board members, and the unwavering commitment of our academic and support staff, I believe that we will grow to surpass our current success as we reinvent education for tomorrow's world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rohit, for your warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite you to turn your attention to the projector screens as we take a quick nostalgic journey of INTI's 3 decades to where it is today. and gentlemen, watching INTI's humble beginnings as presented in the video is nothing compared to having not only lived it, but also been responsible for it. Since its inception in 1986, INTI has grown and thrived under the guidance of this esteemed individual, whose entrepreneurial vision in transforming the face of Malaysian higher education has led us from strength to strength. Let us hear from one of the two people who started it all, Mr. Tan Yu Sing, Chairman and Co-founder of INTI International University and Colleges.
Going through those slides just now, and we realized we were really young at the time. Dr. Lee, myself, many old staff here, and you can see your young faces there. Now, standing here, of course, I'm emotional in the sense of 30 years has passed. Going back my memory lane, we started in '86, our first batch of 37 students. I sometimes wonder, why did they join us? We have no track record. Tan Yu Sing was never involved in any tertiary education. Of course, we rely on Dr. Lee Paon, who was involved in local universities. So I was just whispering to S.Y. Lau, because he was one of those 37. And he told me some of the lesson was starting even go late at night. And that was a time when I actually involved most of the intake and talked to them. So he said that is because, firstly, I think INTI is one that really promote quite heavily in some of the Chinese paper. And he comes from a Chinese school background, feel the confidence that this is the institution that can bring him maybe to an English-speaking world, and I hope we have not regretted. We started off with a very simple slogan: quality education at affordable cost. It's a word affordable because we believe at that time we want to provide the opportunity for social mobility of those who do not have a chance to go to our local tertiary education. Whether it's because of their finance, whether it's because of a certain quota system, there are many who actually are eligible academically but can't enter. So we started that with a very simple reason. And since then, of course, we grew from strength to strength. And just now, Rohit already told us that now we have about more than 15,000 students. We have actually made a few track records in the private education, tertiary education industry in Malaysia. We were the first one who offers scholarships, whether it's merits, whether it's on affordability, and on sports. We are definitely the first one to offer sports this scholarship or grant. I think we have actually accumulated that amount up to now. More than 100 over million Malaysian ringgit scholarship have been given. And I actually see some of the old faces, some of my students who say they will not be what they are today, if not because of the scholarships or grant or loan or whatever. Quite a few of them are here. We actually started with the American Credit Transfer Program, learning from the experience in Mara, where Dr. Lee comes from. We actually now have more than 300 US universities, including some of the Ivy League, who accept our students. Then we move into British, Australian, Canadian, New Zealand program. Then the rest is history. Now it is important, if I want to recall, what is the success recipe of INTI, if I can call it a success, I think it's no other than, firstly, we have a vision. We have a vision, we want to be the private university of the choice. We have the passion. We have the passion that we are here in the education industry. It is not profit maximization. We have a social responsibility. We are partly also a social enterprise. So we not only want our students to be good in their academic results, we encourage student activities. We have one of the very early student union among private universities, INTI. And if you are not sure what INTI stands for, INTI, it is a Malay word. Intisari is innermost. It's a hidden talent. And it is also a Sanskrit, same meaning. So it is an institution with that sort of vision. We want to provide a platform for our students to actually enhance their hidden talent. I just want to mention a small story. I remember I have a student, and it's my good friend's son, and who is only good in playing basketball from Guanghua, where I come from, Klang, SMJK. And the father was worried. And he said, this son only played basketball. What am I going to do with him? He's Form 5, they take exam. Then with that very special situation, we discussed, at the end we decided we should recommend him to do the American program and make sure he go to university that is studying more choice on their way of making a degree. In fact, it's a very student-centered. The student can choose what are the credits and make it into a degree. So he can choose something on basketball, sports management, event management, a little bit on accounting and finance and management, end up with a degree, and he finished, he came back. Now, anybody play basketball in Malaysia will know him. Chen Qixian will know him because it is our Ling Ling's brother, our CEO of INTI Subang. Because he has his hidden talent, and now proved that INTI is important in his career. So it's a vision and a passion and in the feeling of one family. You know that when we first started, 37 students, just a few staff, a small place. I think SY Lau was saying, yeah, a nice small place in, you may not be able to remember, it's Jalan Tun Samantan, the picture showing just now. It's no more the building now, because it is now the central, they rebuilt into the central KL. And it's the sort of the commitment and the students and staff involvement together. And we are like one big family. Those were the days, were the years that I think we will cherish it all our life. Now, I just want to use this opportunity to thank heartfelt gratitude to all those who helped to make INTI what it is today. It is also, looking back, we are happy to have actually worked and then joined Laureate Network. It is a very progressive institution. I think in the world, if they say in private education, if they say they are number 2, then nobody can dare to claim they are number 1. This network covers about 1 million university students assisting, more than 1 million now. So INTI is only 1.6% of that network. And by joining the network, we have many new things which I dream, but I cannot fulfill. For example, they are Laureate DNA. Internationalized, individualized, and innovative. Internationalized, we all talk about internationalization, but how can INTI do that? The most I can do is training program, some university from some professor from foreign university to come and give talk. That's all we can do. But working with Laureate, you see, we can invite very, very distinguished speakers. Whether you agree with his political stand is a different thing. But we can invite them, you know, Bill Clinton here, and we don't pay them a single cent. I know Bill Clinton's paid and it's a big sum involved him, but no, we have Tony Blair, we have established CEOs and industrial leaders of Fortune 500, and they do come into the institute. We also have the study abroad program, where our students here, they study 3 or 4 years with us. They can choose half a year, 1 year to go overseas, pay Malaysian fees. They can go to Italy if it's on design, Milan. They can go to maybe Spain, Southern American country, Peru, Brazil, Spanish speaking. They can go there for 1 semester, and then the credit is still transferable, paying Malaysian fees. So that's a real internationalization, student exchange. Of course, we have again the economy of scale. The whole group may have developed a software costing them tens of billions of dollars. But INTI as a network, if we use it, we are only paying maybe 1.6% of the whole cost. But using a software, that is actually so effective. So, looking back, I'm happy. And there's no regret that INTI now is part of Laureate Network. There's no regret also, this is for the benefit of students. I think Dr. Lee, myself, we are still in INTI. I'm the chairman. Dr. Lee is our very senior advisors, and many of our staff are one way or another helping us. So this 30-year anniversary is a celebration by all those who have been with INTI throughout their life, whether it is just a staff, whether it's a lecturer, whether it's an alumni, whether it's a student. So finally, I would like to say, I'm very proud. I'm very proud to have a generation of esteemed industrial leaders, entrepreneurs who are from our past cohort of INTI's alumni. We are very proud that we do involve in the human resource development, that making this hopeful to make this country into a sustainable and developing country. We are very proud ourselves to be able to create history in Malaysian education and even the world global education of a private education industry, to make tertiary education more accessible to more people from a private effort. So finally, thank you very much. Again, heartfelt gratitude to all those who help us, all those who work with us throughout this INTI's life, and we will need your continued support. Thank you very much. Thank you. I've nearly forgotten something to remind me. This 30-year anniversary, one of the program is next Saturday. We have a homecoming event for INTI alumni and students, and we hope more of our alumni will join us, and you can always get INTI's staff to enroll to register for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan, for those inspiring words of wisdom. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to a special item on today's agenda. As we celebrate 30 years of empowering young minds, we would like to honor the dedicated individuals who not only dared to dream of an educational movement that will produce the leaders, entrepreneurs, and game changers of today, but also made it a reality. Their hopes have translated into the graduation of 55,000 students in the last 30 years that has stretched towards the shores of North America, Europe, Australia, and many other countries. Two of these members in particular have been vital in several of INTI's milestones, including the establishment of the first credit transfer option program to the United States through the University of Virginia in 1988. INTI's collaboration with the University of Hertfordshire and Coventry University in 1992, two partnerships which have continued to this day. Recognition by the United States Department of Commerce in 2003, INTI was among the first Malaysian institutions to receive this award. receiving the Best Brand in Education Tertiary Level Award at the Brand Laureate SME Chapter Awards by the Asia Pacific Brands Foundation in 2009. The establishment of INTI University College as a full-fledged university, INTI International University, in 2010. This status was awarded 2 years ahead of schedule in recognition of INTI's contributions towards Malaysia's growth as a regional education hub. Being rated as Tier 5 Excellent in the Setara rating for higher education institutions in Malaysia in 2013, 2014 and 2015. This emphasized INTI's high quality of teaching and learning. To acknowledge their efforts, we have aptly chosen to name this multi-purpose hall and the Center for Postgraduate Studies of INTI International University in their honor. For the special signing of the commemorative plaques, we would first like to invite Edison Lim, an INTI alumnus who is now an internationally renowned magician, illusionist, and visual artist, to assist in this event. Now, please also join me in inviting Mr. Tan Yu Sing and Dr. Lee Fa On to the stage.
Hi, sir. Nice meeting you. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Edison, and I'm going to do a simple magic trick for both of them. Yeah. So, sir, I have a deck of cards. Yeah. Maybe. Can come here. I have a deck of cards here. Now, I want to check on this deck of cards. Make sure that all the cards are different. Can you see? All the cards are different. Good. Okay, now I want to pick any one of these cards. Just pick one card, any card. Good, and have a look. I can have a look as well, no worries. You can show the camera as well. Good. So, I have a pen right here. Now I want to sign on this card. Have a signature. Yeah, you sign, and as well as Dr. Lee as well. Yeah, I can see the card, no worries. Just sign it. Okay. So one more. Yeah, I can see the cards, no worries. Okay, done? So, here's the card with a signature. Can all of you see it? Yep. Now, maybe you can come here. Can all of you see this card? Yep. And it's actually with a signature. Now, what? I'm going to turn around and place it somewhere in the middle. Okay? So that's the only one card in the middle. Watch. So where is the card? Somewhere in the middle, right? Now what? Is that possible to be on top? No, that's impossible, right? But if I snap my finger, yes, it comes not on top. But what? Next card. Now do it one more time, right? So that's your card. Turn over, place it somewhere in the middle. Snap my finger. That's not the top card. But what? Jump on top again. Now watch. Let me do it slowly. So that's your card. Remember, that's your card. I'm going to turn around, place it somewhere in the middle one more time. You can see that's the only one card facing down. So where is your card? Somewhere in the middle or on top. What do you think? On top. Oh, so that's not your card, of course. But if I snap my finger, yes, it comes on top. Thank you. Okay. Now. Here's the problem. I'm facing down the card, but right now, I'm going to face up only your card. So that's the only one card facing up. Can you see? That's the only one card facing up. What? Where is the card? So your card will be facing up or down right now. Up or down? Up. Good. So it's clear. So is that your card? No. But watch closely. 1, 2, 3, and go. And that's the card. Thank you. Now, let me do it one more time. Now I'm going to bend this card. I bend it. So this card will be bended. Yeah, correct? Watch. So you see, that's the card, it's actually bent. I'm going to place it right in the middle. Now watch, close it. Now here. 1, 2, 3. Jump on top. Place it. Can you have a look? Have a look. Make sure that that's your card. And show the camera. Thank you. Now, here's the signature. Yeah? Here's the signature. You can't write it out, correct? Now, I have a cotton right here. Dr. Lee, can you help me to check on this cotton? It's normal, correct? Yeah? So can you help me to check as well? Good. Now I'm going to just put it right into this card. And watch. Now I have a lighter here for you. Can you help me to just light it up? Just light it up. You're afraid of lighter, right? Now, just light it up. Or maybe you can stand here. Just be careful, yeah? Watch. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow. Yeah, you can let go and watch. And the signature actually gone. Let go. It's actually gone. And where does the signature go on? It's actually transformed to another places. Let me show you. Now I have a lighter for you. A lighter for you. Now I want both of you to actually light up this paper. Now, you know how to use? Just press it. Okay, good. So I want to light up together. Now, 1, 2, 3, just light up right here. Anywhere. Yeah. And thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a big round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tan Yu Sing, Dr. Lee Fa-on, and Edison. Ladies and gentlemen, apart from recognizing the efforts of our founding members, INTI also recognizes outstanding alumni, individuals who began their journey at INTI and have gone on to become front-runners of industries, leaders in their respective fields, and notable figures in the community, impacting the society and inspiring young Malaysians to follow in their footsteps. At this juncture, I'd like to share with you a story of a very significant individual. He's a leader in the eyes of many, a sought-after, influential speaker known in the academic and business industries. A bright personality who constantly looks forward to new challenges and opportunities, which earned him Media Person of the Year Award in 2015 by the highly prestigious organization Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity. As an alumnus of INTI, this significant and humble individual has made his mark around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of INTI International University and Colleges, it is our great honor to call upon Mr. Rohit Sharma to present INTI's Alumnus of the Year Award to the Senior Executive Vice President of Tencent and President of Online Media Group, Mr. S.Y. Lau. We would also like to call upon Mr. Tan Yu Sing to be on stage to witness this momentous event. Thank you, Mr. Rohit and Mr. Tan Yu Sing. Drawing on his experiences as a successful entrepreneur in the 21st century, we now invite Mr. S.Y. Lau to remain on stage to deliver his talk on the opportunities of globalization and digital connectivity.
it's commercial time, I guess, while our colleagues are putting things on the table or the stage. It's really a great honor. I wouldn't claim that I'm back because this place was never here 30 years ago. I must say that I'm totally impressed with how this program has unfolded in the morning. It is a total process of intilization, if you like. Why do I say that? 30 years ago, in fact, when I first met with Dr. Tan, he never told me that the class was only 37 people. So we talk about leadership with integrity. 37 people, his English was as good as today. And his speech, the way that he delivered his speech, his dynamism, he's full of pragmatism and also optimistic views about the world. And to be quite honest, in fact, Dr. Tan asked me why did I come back. In fact, I say that in our Chinese language, there's a word that says 饮水思源. So I remember, thank you. This was one of the reasons why I came back, because that fundamental process of spending my initial time, in those days we weren't called INTI College, we were called INTI Institute, right? So 37 of us, I remember then there was a professor, Ling Ho Bing, so trying to teach me what English was all about. I said, this Chinese pretending to be Masale, speaking like the twists and tongues and all that. Right? So that was 1986, 30 years ago. But today, when you look at how this institution has become, why do I dwell on this? Because in China for the past 21 years, one of the greatest things I have learned was actually the power of entrepreneurship. The brilliance of it can totally be traced back to the persistency, the passions, and also the visions of one single individual. We have great leaders today from China, such as Mr. Tony Ma, Mr. Jack Ma. I don't know why it's all Ma, so we're looking for the third Ma, right? And such people, I'm fortunate that I spent my career, my time in China, and I was part of that dream-making team, and that made where such companies became today. Another point that I noticed about this opening ceremony was that 30 years ago, you cannot imagine that you have such an official ceremony and you have a magician on stage. 30 years ago. But if you were to think about the ideas about having the magician on stage and that little card tricks that he did, he actually built around the big ideas about that signature event. So it wasn't just about some of us creating some pom-pom shows, but it was actually very well thought through. It was a straight idea, because in China, I've been invited to opening ceremonies all the time, and the process, the ritual that I hated the most is when you go there, you put your hand, all of us put our hand, and then something behind, you will turn something. You know, so artificial intelligence happening without you realizing it. Put a hand. Now, anyway, very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can I have a show of hands? How many of us here are students? Well done. Well done. You are the only reasons why I am here today. It's not because of Tan Yu Sing. It's not because of that very heavy thing, and certainly not because of this. And I hope that they would take out my billboard outside the road before I become a famous guy that income tax will come after me. Now let's begin today. What a great honor for me to be here today. As I said, 30 years is a long time, but having the opportunity to come back, it is something that's really fond memory. I'm going to go back to the script that I prepared, because in such an event, you don't want to say something wrong that goes on in record, you know. And, well, this is pages 125, but anyway, the whole topics about the speech today is going to be centering around the concepts of globalizations and digital connectivity. And you're seeing the same PowerPoint that I'm seeing right now. 30 years ago, when I went to INTI institutions, the reason why I went there was because my father told me that I should learn English, I should brush up my English. See, English was important. Malaysians living in our environment, we have to master Bahasa, which is important for national integration. And at the same time, those of us who came from different ethnic backgrounds, we have our own mother tongue to worry about. If you don't master Indian language, for example, when you grow up, you are not going to find your Minachi. I think that's important, right? If you don't learn Mandarin as you grow up, you're going to find that there's a lot of new information that are unfamiliar with you. And if you don't learn English by those days, you would actually find that a lot of doors are shut, because English those days was seen as a language of international influence. And as the country progresses, then we also saw that we have the Dasar Pandang Timur. So you start to learn Japanese. Then today, you start learning Korean because of Big Bang. Right? How many of you went to Big Bang concert? None. Oh, I'm so happy. Right. Now, before I move on to the topics of globalization, the reason for this little thing is that I have a mission today to try to make you believe that such a big words like globalization is certainly not far from you. It has got every single thing to do with you today, your future, and the future that's going to concern your family. Now let's begin. A show of hands, how many of us here have heard of the word Brexit? Okay, not too bad. I can see that maybe about 1/3 of us here. Now, the Brexit referendum actually took place back in June 23rd this year. And the people of the United Kingdom, they were asked to make a decision. A pretty unconventional decision, because if you were to check onto the histories of mankind, you don't have national referendum happening all the time. So the decision was whether they would remain in European Union. Now, the results would have shown that more than half of the population, in fact 52% of the people, voted to leave European Union in a binding mandate, and that ended the first part of a saga that began way back in 1975. And finally, resulted in the resignations of British Prime Minister David Cameron. In fact, I met the Prime Minister 2 years earlier before he resigned. I should have asked for his signature, knowing that he was going to resign. Yep. And of course, the world that we're living in today, following the Brexit words, many pundits, creative pundits around the world, started commenting and speculating that there would be more such words coming through into the future. And it would seem that everyone is actually rushing towards the exit door. Your Brexit, your eaten leave, finish. And it appears that in the entire EU, the only country that was about to remain was Romania. Now, well, jokes aside, I believe the real questions that really concern us today, that is highly relevant to us today, is this. Why did the British decide to leave the European Union? Well, suppose this is not a simple question, such as why did the chicken wanted to cross the road? Nobody's laughing. My goodness, which century are you from? Why did the chicken cross the road? They didn't teach you in INTI? Anyway, well, I wish things were that simple in our real world today. If we were to go back to the very beginnings of this year, before the war was actually taking place. Now, according to a poll done by a public opinion research company, authoritative and a famous one, before the war was taking place, the reasons the main reasons they were quoted, they were identified as the reasons why the UK had to leave the European Union were immigrations, economics-related issues, sovereignty, and even safety from terrorism. Now, as you can see from the chart, there were in fact 9 main reasons that the experts thought that would actually influence the decision. And it is really a pity that they didn't get them right at all. For Brexit, it was not simply about immigration control or the UK claiming that they have not been getting a fair deal from the European Union. The reason was actually very simple. There appears to be a major fault line in contemporary politics between those that embrace globalizations and those that fear globalizations. But that fear, as we all know that all the time we have fear for things that are unknown, things that we're not familiar with, and things that probably have brought back memories of history from the past. Such fear will not impede decades of momentum towards a flatter and more globalized world. Which explains today, if any one of you here were to take out your mobile phone and you start searching for the words, the combination words of Brexit and globalizations, you would still have 500,000 hits for that matter. So the bottom line is simply this. Nations today can no longer create laws and treaties that relies upon self-protectionism for self-preservation. Well, indeed a very bold statement. Why do I, can I use a word there? Well, suppose, why am I making such a bold statement right now? Well, simply because the world that we are seeing today, the world that we're living in today is much more connected than before. If we were to look at some numbers, if we were to look back in 1990, the total values of the global flows of goods, services, and finance amounted to about $5 trillion US dollars, and probably about 24% or 1/4 of the global GDP. Now, if we fast forward that to the year 2014, you realize that the number has actually grown 6 times to about $30 trillion worth of goods, finances, and services, or equivalent to 39% of the total GDP. Take a pause. What you're seeing right now is that this is year 2014. Every single dollar that's changing place within the world in the context of global GDP, in fact, 40% of it are actually foreign exchange related. Now, if we were to study closely, the growth of 6 times over the spans of time that we talk about, it wasn't the conventional trade and finance that have actually contributed to such growth of globalization. These 2 sectors that characterize the 20th century's economy have either flattened or even declined since the year 2008, where the world suffered from one of the greatest downfall in the economy. Instead, history would have told us that digital flows was growing in such a soaring manner. Now just look at the amount of cross-border bandwidth that was used then. It actually has grown 45 times, the data flows 45 times from 1980 to 2014. And that category itself became a significant category, accounted to more than $2.8 trillion of the global GDP increase just from 2005 to 2014. Globalization was becoming more digital in that sense. Again, what has all of this to do with people like you and me? My favorite song to my daughter today is about, what is the song that she's singing right now? Only Me, Myself, and I. Only Me, Myself, and I, because she's studying alone in Edinburgh right now. So these globalizations What has all these things got to do with people like you and me? You see, the shift towards a more digital form of globalization has changed the way that people, nations, interact with one another, and therefore affects every single aspect of globalization as well defined by the IMF. The four basic aspects of globalization, be it trade and transactions, capital and investment movements, migrations and the movements of people, and the disseminations of knowledge, are all altered by digital globalization. The real consequences of such an impact actually hit much more closer at home than we imagine, and affects every one of us profoundly, but without even realizing it. All of us here today, you and me, are experiencing the largest cluster movements of our time, and we call that digital globalization, which is actually shaping our world in a most unimaginable, unaccountable ways. I've seen how digitalization has transformed the backward third world countries just in under a decade in China to where China is today. Well, it certainly brings unimaginable, uncomfortable levels of disruptions and changes. And as I said earlier, it is not just relevant to countries and governments, but to every single individual. If you were to look at it in a more graphic manner, look at this chart, how the world has changed over the last 16 years. In 2016, the world's largest enterprises, I'm sure some of these brand names of companies will be familiar to you. In 2016, the world's largest enterprises, in terms of market cap, are now all digital companies, displacing enterprises that are more traditional. Today, such companies are digital by nature. They are born digital, and they were born global in destiny. See, one of the direct impacts of digital reform in globalization hits right in the job market, the market that is going to concern all of us here. And I'm so happy that when the CEO of INTI University talks about us having the ability to generate 97% of employability postgraduates. Having a job is actually something that's bugging a lot of people. I have a son that's 21 years old, and he's going to be jumping into the job market next year. And some of the parents during the contemporary times are concerned about whether the degrees that you have obtained from, be it the Ivy Leagues of the world, private or public institutions in the world, would it actually create enough job competencies, the types of characteristics that are required for future employment, and how the values of jobs, how jobs are going to be redefined in the future, how organizations is going to be revamped in the future, and in fact, how industries is going to be reorganized in the future. If we were to look at some research by Oxford University, for example, 47% of the entire US employment market is at risk of being automated over the next 2 decades. In other words, you are not only facing competition from the man or the lady sitting next to you, you will be facing competition from the machines, the artificial intelligence of the world that again is taking place so rapidly. Well, another research done by, I'm not sure whether it was a study, was it by Harvard or some places? Doesn't matter. It says that about 65% of the children entering primary school today will ultimately work in a new job environment, a new job types and functions that doesn't even exist today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in my business, we talk a lot about internet, data, big data and all that. We talk a lot about metrics. We use them almost every single day in measuring most of the things, data flows, human behaviors, and whatnot. But however, I realize today that every one of you sitting here today is not simply a number, You are people, real people. You have hopes, you have aspirations, and you have dreams. And I believe in you, and I want you to believe in you. That's the reason why I travel thousands of miles today to meet with you. I want you to believe that each of you can be dream makers of tomorrow. Yes, granted that whatever bad news that you might have heard about globalizations are multifaceted. Most, in fact, can be beneficial, and of course, some of the areas might be less so. We all live in the different eras. During our time, we have our challenges. And I'm sure my parents, my mom is here, my mother-in-law is here. Those days, people have different challenges. But I guess one thing that is certain is that the world will change significantly with or without you. And I suppose the most provocative question that we must ask ourselves today would be, how is the best way for us to equip ourselves to not only stand up to, but also excel in such a rapidly changing world? And I guess that's the reason why you're here today. Now, let us begin. The best way for us to really take advantage of a globalized world is to become a global citizen. And how do you do that? I'm going to try to maybe put some thoughts, maybe about 5 or 6 ideas here. We call it the pathways based on the observations and the experience that I've had from outside Malaysia, China mainly, and I'm very actively involved in some of the policy settings of institutions in the US. For Harvard Business School, I sit in the Global Advisory Board, and I talk to a lot of academics, business leaders from the West, and every one of us are equally concerned about when the world is getting more globalized, the human capital that we are facing today, are we equipped enough to face such potential possibilities and opportunities? But we're not looking at just challenges, but you look at it as possibilities and opportunities. So here are 5 pathways that, in my humble opinion, I hope might be relevant to you today. First of all, globalizations, global citizens reject extremism. Before I elaborate on the rejections ideas of extremism, let me preface my remarks by pointing out that becoming a global citizen, first of all, requires an open mind. It sounds very simple, open mind, but how many of us here can really do that? It doesn't sound like a huge challenge for you, but do bear in mind that this world that we are living in today is highly connected, where data is free-flowing, with more and more people contributing to the formations of new knowledge, where you don't only learn from books, you learn from your mobile phone more than anything else via online socializations. So there is a high likelihood that you might have biases, prejudices that you don't even know that you have. How can we get rid of something that we don't even know that we have? How do you know that you don't know? How do I know something that I don't know? See, without an open mind, how can we see what should be improved or what should be changed? The worst prison in the world is not one with walls and fences. The worst prison is one without bars or barriers. Without those visible structures, we don't realize that we are being imprisoned. It is the same way with our beliefs, our value systems, and at times misguided by ideas such as nationalistic, patriotic, secular thinkings and all that. We believe what we are told unless our minds are open enough, independent enough to dig deeper into the truth. Do you honestly believe that signature moved from point A to point B? How many of you believe that? You did? Do you really believe in that? How can we choose the right path if we don't even realize that a path exists? Because from point A to point B, that path doesn't exist. If you were to transfer your thinking pattern into all the things that you see surrounding your world, a lot of us here actually are closed-minded than we thought. See, due to the driving mega forces of globalization in the digital age, global competition is no longer defined by national boundaries, and the rules of governing and formations of economic laws around the world are no longer based on a zero-sum game. Yet, the Brexit has actually taught us that nations can no longer rely upon protectionism, as I said earlier, for self-preservation. However, it also given rise to many so-called champions of patriotism who in fact have hidden and self-serving agendas and who make protectionist comments and speeches that are bound to be heard in this world flooded with social media. Selectively, all of us are more easily attracted to extreme ideas than something that is mundane and calm, which is why in the world of journalism, when the world is peaceful, this business go out of business. There's no bad news because everybody look for bad news. They say that 天下无大事会大乱. Experience tells us that these people shall not escape the ultimate judgments of history. But the real question becomes, you and I living here today, how do you determine what is truth and what are sugar-coated lies right now? A global mindset begins with an open mind, and having an open mind is the first line of defense against falsehood. None of us here is going to talk about nation building. None of us here is going to talk about politics. None of us here is going to talk about economics and whatnot. Let's talk about your job, because this is what's really, really important to 1/3 of the people here. Because this 1/3 of the people here is going to depend on the other 1/3 of the people that pay the school fees. Parents are here today. And the other 1/3 of the people who are professors are going to depend on this 1/3 of people that pay the school fees so that they get salary. So all of us are affected in that sense. Now, I have traveled to almost every continent of the world and realized that the earth that we are living in today, not only a big place, but also a very diverse and differentiated places with people with all sorts of different ideas. You cannot imagine how people would think in Brazil. You cannot imagine how people would think in Prague until you really go and live with them and talk with them. Now, if any one of us here were to travel, I would encourage that you use Airbnb rather than booking a hotel, because when you use Airbnb or you use Uber for that matter, you really get into the dialogues with those people from that domestic countries. Now, having said that, being global also doesn't mean that you have to be physically present in more places. But it's actually more sort of about having the ability to transport your mind into the external world and see things the way that they are perceived in different parts of the world. The key is simply this: to exert a conscious effort and take the initiative to get out of your comfort zone, getting out of your comfort zone, to experience the unconventional, to see and recognize the differences that exist among people. Peoples of different colors, people of different races, people of different continents. The world eventually is a global village. And to be a champion of moderation whom is genuinely attuned to the powers of the world. But I know this is not an easy path. For extremist messages and ideas are simple, easy to absorb, and requires little thought. And it is one reason why they become so popular over the internet. Well, open-mindedness, on the other hand, is much more demanding, as it requires critical thinking, critical analysis, and the willingness to really dig deeper into the connective areas of the mind, and sometimes even question yourself. Having seen that magic show just now, how many of us would really go back and search on the internet and see how he did it? Why? How did he do it? A global mindset is the inverse of extremism. Now, let me reiterate today that the biggest enemies of mankind and the stumbling blocks that we are facing towards the progress of our civilization lies nothing but in the forms of extremism of any kind, from anywhere. You young people that are sitting in this auditorium today, you are the new generations, and you must wake up and help all of us to shape a better future, to prevent future generations from becoming too ethnocentric. Ethnocentricity is the keyword that I learned from UKM when I was a student over there. And you shouldn't be too xenophobic or simply intolerant of other systems. Worst of all, people that behave in such a manner under the umbrellas of being patriotic is misguided and will only lead to more isolations and eventually self-destructions. Now that's the first part about being open-minded. You want to talk about globalization? You don't have to travel. You don't have to study economics. The first thing is, in your day-to-day interactions with people from different backgrounds, people from different social groups, do you have an open mind to see things differently? Now the second pathway is that the global citizens would require to have, I would say that we all have to learn to be the masters of technology. Now in today's world, there are those of us who still like to bury our heads in the sand and deny that the age of technology is upon us. Well, it is actually a fruitless effort, because if you were to just take a look around you, technology pervades all aspects of our lives and is becoming the crux of everything that we're living in today. The influence and significance of technology will not diminish, but I can assure you that it would only penetrate further and further in our lives. 10 years ago, when I was fortunate to be recruited as part of the management team in Tencent, we have like 2,600 people. 10 years later, today we have close to 40,000 people. 10 years ago, we have one single product which all the Chinese users are using called QQ, and today we have countless numbers of products. QQ, today we have more than a billion of monthly active users. WeChat, today we have more than 8 billion monthly active users. Tencent News, which is one of my biggest products today, every single day we have more than 60 million people in every single minute using Tencent News. Tencent Video, something like Netflix, every single day we have more than 100 million people using Tencent Video in replacement to television. And today, every single citizen, netizens in China, would actually make payment via Alipay or WeChat payment without actually walking around with cash. See, all these are just small snapshots about how digitalizations and technologies are actually impacting our lives in a market such as China. And that influence is going to slowly grow all the way around to the world. It's not because of the Chinese-ness of it, but it's because of the universal utilities that human beings can derive from technology. So therefore, the ideas of deniers, the ideas of evasions are totally not an option. The message that must be heard today about modern technology is don't evade, embrace. The key is this: we cannot simply exist in a technological world. You know, some of the examples that some scholars actually brought to us when we have such intellectual discussions, mankind has gone through a different parts of industrial revolution. Industrial Revolution 1, 2, 3, and some say this is 4. And if you wanted to drink milk, you don't have the cow farm. So in other words, you can let somebody else. If you want to drive an automobile today, you don't have to know how to build a car. See, that's the idea that people say, well, technology, you can have the smartest of the Steve Jobs of the world, They would invent iPhones. We would just use iPhone. They would invent this. We would just use it. I'm saying this is no longer enough. Because if we're going to just, I'm referring to the youngsters, the young students are sitting behind. If we are simply going to be just the one that's waiting for iPhone 7, iPhone 8, no longer enough. Because you simply just exist in a technological world. We should learn how to live fulfilling our lives, our dreams by using technology to our advantage. The biggest fear that you should get is about a year ago when my mom said, "Hi son, I'm on Facebook." The second biggest fears in the world was 6 months ago when my mother-in-law wanted to add me on Facebook. See, the two ladies are sitting right here, 70 and almost 80 years old. So what reasons do you have for not embracing technology? Every one of us can benefit from the technologically driven world of the near future. So get ready and embrace such opportunities. The question then, of course, you're going to ask is that how do you best exploit technology to our advantage? Now, first of all, if you can, and I hope INTI offers this, if you can, you really got to speak the language of technology. And that language is coding. It's coding. Language is about understanding, and the use of code is how we get machines to understand what is it that we want them to do. Remember the Hollywood big blockbusters? Today it's like the Tom Cruise movie. What was the name of the movie again? Yes, Mission Impossible. But there was one movie where imagine you get out from a train, and then each one of us has got this little thing, the barcode on our head that lists your names and all. The Minority Report. And you think this is very far-fetched into the future? Tencent, we're going to have our new building launched next year, and this will probably be one of the most advanced buildings with artificial intelligence. A building that can think, a building that knows what time you arrive in the office, a building that knows how many hours you spend in the toilet, a building that knows what sort of food you order from your canteen, and a building that knows that, hey, Mr. Lau, your BMI has just reached 35, so stop eating that gai fan. Well, all this sounds very futuristic, right? It is not. It's happening today. Our buildings will be embedded with all the so-called artificial intelligence systems, where every single car of our employees, when they drive onto the parking lot, that computer system will guide you to the closest parking lot, and then the computer system via WeChat or QQ would know your full day itinerary and then guide you to the closest office or conference room. And if your body temperature reaches like more than 37.9, and they just found out you just came back from Brazil, an ambulance is standby. You think about how such things can happen. Now, I cannot overemphasize the point that coding will be the new lingua franca that enables communications on a global level. But communications without understanding the context of the communication is insufficient. The pervasive nature of technology, the inevitable disruptions that it spawns, requires a deeper understanding and masteries of the language if we truly want to be successful. You know, gentlemen, those that sit at the back, you know, you are 20 years old, 22, 1 or 2 years old. Success is a big burden, you know, it's a big sumo wrestler resting on your shoulder. I can understand that because I have a son that's 20 years old, almost about 21 years old. I can understand that. But all we are saying is that if you have a little bit of time, learn coding. It's just like 30 years ago, my father told me, "Asing, you must learn English. 30 years ago, we have to be good in English. We have to be good in Bahasa, because languages, those are exam papers. 30 years ago, I have to go and learn Chinese because my father said Chinese must learn Chinese. But today it's beyond that. It's beyond that. You have to be good in Bahasa, you have to be good in your mother tongues if that's important to you, but more importantly, English and coding. Because if you don't understand coding, 1/3 of your future opportunities is shut for you. And of course, you can say that, well, I'm multi-rich, I can buy iPhone without understanding how it works. But you lose out the opportunities. If any one of us here had that sort of thinking just now, some of us here should have actually snapped a photo of that magician and quickly do a Google search, quickly do a facial recognitions over the internet, and to see what are the flops that people have done in the past. On the spot, you know, that's a trick. I know exactly which finger has done what, which finger has done what. See, living becomes so multi-dimensional. You're not just living now, getting fed with what other people want you to believe in. This is just a magician playing a trick. What if some politicians, what if some bosses in the future, what if some competitors in the future are playing the same magic tricks on you and you're going to lose out? Learning coding is only a useful first step in our quest to become masters of technologies. Now, the next question, if we were to dig deeper, would be, how do we become masters of technology? How can people who haven't studied engineering or computer scientists stand a chance in the world of the future? Now, this is where Harvard comes in, because Harvard says that the technical majors accounts for 34% of the entire graduates that they produce every single year. And in Oxford, 31%, and 34% at Cambridge. So the point I'm trying to make is that, hey, guys, don't worry, you're not far behind, because these best places in the world, only 1/3 of the guys are computer and engineer scientists. The other remaining 70% are equally dead like you. Am I saying that? No. No. The rest of us with non-technological majors, are we then irrelevant to the future? The knowledge of coding is, as we have said, an important foundation. If you learn it, well and good. But in order to build up the structures of masteries of technology, what is even more important is that you must learn to look at the world in the same way that scientists examine everything, in order to cultivate the ability to engage in the deeper portions of conversation. You really got to think deep. The scientific mindset that I'm talking about has got two key characteristics. Number one, you almost have to be perpetually curious. You really have to be curious. You really have to ask, why? Why like that? Why not like that? You know, when I was like 6, 7 years old, we said, why like that? Not my mother, you know, not my mother, she's sitting there. Why like that? Now, if you don't ask why like that, you lose out. You almost have to encourage your children. You almost have to encourage yourself. Sorry, professor, it's a very difficult life for you. You almost really have to ask, because great professors, they ask themselves the same question all the time. Knowledge is becoming so irrelevant from, you know, nowadays I don't buy books anymore, because I find that books are just keep repeating things from the past. What you could learn from Wikipedia, from the internet, or buy books that are published this year, not even last year. Buy books that are published last week, last month. Because the moment it's being published, somebody else is going to revamp it. Things have changed. So, perpetually curious, always digging deeper, always ask why and why again, and strive to understand a big picture in any single environment or scenario you might be in. Now, the second characteristics would be a mindset that I would advocate of a scientist is actually trying to go back to school and learn about these things called empirical methods. Don't trust mere theories or hearsay for that matter, or even logic. Trust, but verify. It's a culture that, you know who taught us this? The greatest CEOs of the world, Jack Welch. When he came to China, we were exchanging our experiences and our thoughts. And of course, he was a legend. He was probably about 80 years old today. And there you are, we all young guys. Actually not that young anyway. So trying to like, oh, what will we learn in all that? Because one of the gurus from the West, when he came to one of the functions in Tencent, he said these beautiful words, which I still remember today because I feel a lot of pride in us and my team because we contributed towards that. And this is what he said. He said, when I came to China, and I thought I was here to see the past, and I soon realized this is the future. When I came to China, I thought I was here to see the past. He thought he was going to see the Great Wars, you know. And then he soon realized this is the future. You see, a great man could quickly turn and then keep asking why, asking empirical questions to trust and verify, trust and verify. The development of scientific mindset is so crucial because it's going to lead to the next level of technological revolution. Our students in Malaysia, well, not really students in Malaysia, for our friends that are not within the IT circle, naturally would be not very close to such area. One of the biggest things that the world is going to be facing very quickly is the explosions of the utilities of artificial intelligence. How many of us here watched the game between AlphaGo, Wei Qi, and the chess champion from Korea? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 out of 800? Think about it. Think about it. And I hope all of you students, please go and search up what is AlphaGo, Alpha, Beta, Go, and think about the impact of, okay, cut a long story short. It was machine versus a man. Playing what? Chess. Chinese chess, the oldest Chinese chess. And the world of academics, the world have a common understanding that this is actually one of the most complicated strategic games in the world. The idea, as you can imagine, is about who's going to win, the man or the machine, the man and the machine. And no secret, the machine won. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a headline, right? But here's the thing. The machine didn't just win because the machine won. How did machine win? Machine is actually programmed by human beings. We have a team of Google top engineers that's based in the UK that work day in and day out teaching the machines on how to play chess. They have input 35 million steps 35 million steps into the computer. You know, teaching the computer, say, okay, if he move like that, then you move like that. If he move like that, then you move like that. 35 million steps was being programmed into the machine. There you are, the big day came, the world champions of chess represented by human species and the machine. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And then came the 37 move. The 37th move, when the machine tick, the guy went tock. Because the guy said, this is impossible. And all of us who were watching from Tencent, all of us like, cannot be. Because machine would not do that. And what it basically means is this machine suddenly has a mind of itself. This machine suddenly be so intuitive, a machine was making a decision for himself. Because that man says that I know machine, so I'm going to move this, and I know that you're going to move that. But the machine said, hoo, you think I'm stupid? So move that side. That's the famous, the 37 move. It's just not about chess. A lot of great innovations in the world are coming from the world of game. Think about one fine day, where an automobile, you can just, now you can Uber, you can grab a taxi and all that. But what if one fine day, you just press a button, there's I don't even know whether you should call it a car anymore. This little thing that's arrived, and then you go up, and then you take a newspaper and you read, and this little thing will just move along the way. You switch the air cons on for your house, and you'll find the easiest way and all that. 2 years ago, if I were to share this story to you, I think it's science fiction. But today, after what AlphaGo has done, I think that fiction world is very soon is going to be non-fiction. You're going to be living in such a world, and what you can do about it. So, the key points here, I suppose, are every one of us stand a chance to benefit from this technologically driven, dominated world in the future if we firstly choose to embrace it. You can choose to embrace it whatever you want, but you've got to find a way to live with technology. Living in technology doesn't mean, okay, I wait for the latest iPhone 7, somebody's going to buy for me. No. You've got to find a way to live beyond that. Technology shouldn't be something that passes you by. You have to be part of that technological process that you're going to ask yourself, what advantage are you going to make for technology to make it better to you? Number two, if you're an engineer, well and good, congratulations. But holding an engineering degree alone is not going to guarantee your success in the future. Those who have scientific mindset, those who are passionate about unleashing the imaginations of technology, those will be those that stand a much better chance in participating in the development of a future that will be more technology-driven on the surface, but more humane at the core. Technology is only an enabler to make more humanity values. And in the histories, if you were to think about the Da Vinci's of the world, the Leonardo's of the world, they are not only, algorithm is another big word today. Do you know that algorithms came from the name of an Islamic scholar? Today, that artificial intelligence, immersive machine learning, deep learning, facial recognition, all these things go back to algorithm. And the person that invented algorithm was an Islamic scholar. So, technology, don't think that technology, nothing to do with you. Technology will help you or it will save you. Now, moving on to the third pathways, if I liked, about global citizens. I think global citizens, I'm hoping that all of us would grow up to be leaders of integrity. I'm not talking about Mr. Tan not telling me 37 students, No, I'm not talking about that. Yeah. Well, it was a very serious session, right? Now let's have a bit of fun here. Now, how many of us here have iPhone? iPhones, okay. iPhone 7? I got iPhone 7, iPhone 7. No difference, only behind got 2 cameras. After that, no difference. Now, let's do an experiment. Now, I would like you to take out your iPhone. Show me your iPhone. Magic, magic. Show me your iPhone. Okay. Now, take out your iPhone and go to the setting button. Go to the setting button. You've done it? Okay, setting button. And then scroll all the way down until you see the privacy button. Okay? Now, click on it. Privacy button, the one with the hands. Click on it, okay? Now, then, once you're in the privacy button, you click on the location service. You see, location service? Now, then scroll all the way down until you see the last button that says system service. The last button, okay? System services. All right? Now, click on that, and then again scroll down until you see frequent locations. Okay? Now you click on it, there you are. Click, there you are. These are all the historical records that you have been for the past 1 week. Oh, don't show the person next to you. Or click on it again. One more click. One more click. This is where you have been. This is what you have done and all that. It's a very detailed record of what you have done in the past how many hours. Now, we are indeed living in the world of digitalization, and which actually means that more data will be shared willingly or unknowingly via the internet. I always wonder if one fine day these things can actually record what I speak as I walk, as I sleep. And then somebody will get all these, verbal languages and turn into computer coding, and then they do a psychographic analysis about myself. I don't know, maybe somebody's doing that already. Now, in other words, you can run, but you certainly cannot hide. We are faced with explosions of information, and therefore, the question that it raises is simply this. With more information that you know about the others, how do you determine what is right and what is wrong? In the world of social media and big data. Now, you're going to be a leader somewhere. If one fine day you are entrusted with so much of information, and how do we know whether we can trust you? What are you going to do with that information? How do you sort through the clutters of a forest trees of information and still be able to hold on tight, making that morally right decisions and judgment? Mind you, data in itself is immoral. How do we prevent people from using data for what society considers immoral purposes? As future leaders, you will be faced with this simple dilemma: the difference between what to think and how to think. Now, I'm sure many of us here, those of us who aspire to be future leaders, we must begin early in life to develop a moral compass that will guide us through the right course. And that moral compass is leading a life of integrity. Integrity in a leader is a two-sided coin. On one hand, it is not doing something wrong. That's not difficult. But for leaders, this is actually particularly important because you are always being observed. And more importantly, you will be example. You are emulated by the youngsters, your followers. And the other side of the coin is to perhaps actively try to do good for the society. And this is actually far more difficult than the other sides of the coin. Always remember that the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. Youngsters that are sitting behind, those in approaching the 20s, because you will be the future. Therefore, how do you refrain from allowing the misuse of data and technology, and also vigorously pursue the proper use of data and technology for the sake of those that depend on us? At Tencent, this sounds like advertisement, but it's true. The integrities of our people is our most important values and asset, and one that we never compromise. I lived in this country, I lived in this company for 10 or 11 years out of 18 years of the company. We are 18 years old today, out of which I've got 11 years of participation. And I can stand with my own feet to say proudly that this is a company that truly believes in integrity. We fire people for wrongdoing, we fire people for corruptions, we fire people for not being truthful and all that. Because if you lose this moral compass in the leaderships of the company, you are creating a future inconvenience of the society. The larger you become, is cancerous in a sense. All of us here have seen the front page of Star paper. None of us, I'm sure, including our Dr. Tan, has not seen that amount of cash laying on the table. And one of the deputy directors of the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Agency, who is happened to be our classmate back in UKM, is now Dato Kushairi. Yeah. So if you're given that information, if you're given that privacy information, how do you do judgment, morally right and wrong? And integrity has always ranked #1 since the foundings of our country, of our company. Well, in China, unfortunately, there's a well-known concept called the gray area. You know gray area, the white and the black, and white and the black in between is gray area. Gray area is the areas that thou shalt not get caught until you're caught. Many talented people fall off the cliff of the gray area. I personally was involved in putting my colleagues, my VPs into jail because of the gray area. We put people in jail. VPs, people in jail. And such people certainly fall from grace. Very unfortunate. Unfortunately, when they thought that they could make morally questionable decisions and never be held accountable and face any consequences. Don't ever think that the long arms of the law will never catch up with you. We know what to do. Now, the fourth pathways, if I may, when we talk about global citizens, this is interesting because we thought that global citizens have to learn to collaborate more rather than to compete. All schooling systems since day one and all that were actually teaching us to compete, the survival of the fittest. But I'm glad to see that the syllabus have changed, the philosophy of education has evolved. It's no longer just about competition. What it basically means is that in the world of globalization, the traditional economic sector will be transformed into a sharing economy. Today, industries are increasingly segmentized and no company can stand alone. While we might be the largest market cap in Asia, Tencent as a company, but we do rely a lot on our partners, the downstreams and the upstreams, towards the establishments and the growth of an ecosystem. Ecosystem is important. And every company has its unique strengths in the specific area, segments, and which at the same time, it must learn to collaborate both upstreams and downstream. And when one fine day you become one of the key members of such companies, what role can you play in pushing the envelopes for corporations and other different types of platforms? So therefore, it is the ability to make full use of the core strengths of your platform companies that actually creates values in a much broader sense. And I previously mentioned about the cloud, artificial intelligence. One of the key things actually is cloud computing will be something that's befalling us in a very fast manner. Cloud actually enables resources that was once localized and it will be used much more as utilities, as resources and delivered to the mass. Now this has actually promoted the developments of sharing economy, the cloud computers. The sharing economy in turn would then drive the rapid rise of what we call unicorns in recent years, such as Uber, Didi, and Airbnb. You know, these companies actually came from the results of a cloud-driven environment. The resources of businesses and individuals can be put in the cloud, sharing them with other businesses and individuals that need those resources. In the past, I remember when I worked back in the early 90s, you protect your data, you protect your information. But now informations are up for sharing. What sort of mindset is that? So perhaps forget about the conventional leadership qualities or the leadership course, leadership models focus on individuals' achievements. Learn to be a better team player because collaboration is now far more important than you think. The sharing economy has given us a new type of ecosystem, and it goes beyond the business model based on defeating your enemy You know, Tencent today, when one day our stock becomes the largest in Asia, that's a day that we became very uneasy, because the idea is really not about becoming number one. The idea is to really move the industry together and you raise the bar together. I believe that it's actually best to nurture. While we have competitions, it's actually better to nurture your competitions and keep them close, and hopefully you then stand a better chance in leadership, in creating a win-win outcome for all. So what I'm saying is about cloud is simply this. Focus on the characteristics of the sharing economy. No one tribe will be more superior than the other. We all need one another together, and the goal is no longer just about taking a biggest piece of pie from your competition or your enemy, but the new goal is actually learning to enlarge the pie of prosperity so that real progress can actually occur globally. Now, finally, the last pathways of the day. Global citizens embrace authentic city, authentic self. I just came back from Scotland with my family about 2 weeks ago, having sent my daughter to the universities of Edinburgh. While in Scotland, in Edinburgh, I was so delighted. That's where I discovered that one of my idol, Adam Smith, he was actually from Edinburgh, and his house was there. And so happened I saw the house and all that. Yep. See, I like to believe that the invisible hands of Adam Smith refers not just to the power of productivity, but also to the wisdom of achieving inner equilibrium. This concept goes beyond the world of capitalism. In your new world as a global citizen, you will only excel at things that you are passionate about and which makes you truly happy. I'm sure you've heard this. If you've heard this, I'm telling you again, do something that you like. Live your own dreams and not the dreams of your parents. Live your own dreams and not the dreams of your parents. And this will, I assure you, will bring you some inner peace. For when human beings, when we are at peace with ourselves, when we accept the totality of who we truly are, then can we become more successful than we ever imagined. In order to live our dreams, we kind of sometimes have to go through a lot of awkward moments to live with yourself. These sort of awkward steps of identifying and solidifying your dreams. Now, for example, my daughter, my beloved daughter, that's she playing soccer for Shanghai American School. She was one of the daughter playing soccer. So she recently entered a course of study at the University of Edinburgh. And for the past 24 to 36 months, she has actually wanted to become a fashion designer. So she then obtained herself an opportunity to intern in Burberry in London. So she spent like 3 months interning for Burberry in London. Then suddenly she said, Dad, I don't think that's what I want. Then she said, maybe today I want to be a vet. So she wanted to be a vet with a golden heart. So I said, good, go ahead. So then she found herself a job, internship in a vet hospital in Shanghai. Then maybe taking care of too many pets, that heart become bigger. She said, Dad, I think I want to be a doctor. I said, wow, you want to be a doctor? Well, say then we have a doctor in the family. Very good. So she spent about 3 to 4 months internship in Queen Mary Hospital in Hong Kong. Well, then she said, well, Dad, I think I enjoy being in the lab. And then she was very determined. Yes, I'm going to be applying for medicine, and I'm going to be applying for biomedicine. And she did get accepted to study biomedicine in the University of Edinburgh. When we received that letter, it's, wow, my daughter going Edinburgh, biomedicine, Then when I came back home one day, my wife was like, the face, look at me, go talk to the doctor. She now wants to study psychology. There you are. My beloved daughter is now studying psychology in the University of Edinburgh. Well, the real point of this story is this. Well, her decision pathway might be winding, to say the least. But to be honest, rather than thinking of her as someone that's indecisive, we actually admire her for having the fortitude to persist and to persevere in exploring the various options available. How do you know what you want if you don't really explore it, right? So I guess in the past, in the way that she was groomed and all that, I guess we managed to tell her what to think, to stay away from telling her what to think, but I think we kind of influenced and coached her on how to think, which is more important. All by herself. It is all right, even praiseworthy for a young lady to weigh different options for the future. So I think this is something that parents and youngsters have to learn today. Because we are now living in such a new world order where not only college students have the rights to make mistakes, and even the more senior professionals are encouraged to make what I call learning mistakes. Last week, I was in Shanghai attending the global board meeting of Nestle. And the worldwide chairman of Nestle, Mr. Peter Brabeck, he actually made a speech and he openly encourages all the CEOs of Nestle to make more mistakes. Because as through making mistakes, we discover who we really are. Steve Jobs, at 30 years old, he was left devastated and desperate after being it's like being fired from a company that he formed. Albert Einstein, he wasn't able to speak until he was almost 4 years old. And the list goes on and on. Oprah Winfrey, Michael Jordan, the Beatles. Right? So, do stay true to your own passion and explore the real possibilities within your imaginations. Not everyone can be the next Steve Jobs, but you can be the next you. And that is more meaningful than blindly trying to copycat somebody, trying to emulate someone. We are magicians. Do you have a university degree in INTI that say that this guy is going to graduate in Bachelor's of Magician? No, but he became a successful magician. I was so entertained. Look at the way, the confidence that he showed, the language that he used. The world that we're living in is about content. We spend that 10 minutes having enjoyed the time that this young man brought for us. Success is not really about, having a proper job titles and all that. In the real world, as in the world of art, no one wants a copycat. The value is always in the original. Spend some time trying to think about what your authentic self is going to be. Well, that's my proposals on the 5 pathways that we would take in order to become a global citizens. And if you may, I'd like to quickly just recap. Reject extremism, become a masters of technology, lead with integrity, collaborate rather than compete, and finally, embrace authentic self. In your future endeavors, no matter what you choose to do, I guarantee that you'll be rewarded both socially and spiritually, and in fact, hopefully even financially, if you become a person that has a global mindset. Allow me to add one quick word of advice based on my personal experience. Please do not allow yourself to become a blind slave or worshippers of money, stature, or titles. Money, statures, and titles. I am very, very conscious and very that the moment should one day I decide to leave my current positions, all these are gone. I'm here with red carpet because of what the company stands for. The moment I'm no longer with the company, I'm just a layman in the street. And that's not the legacy that I want to leave behind. The legacy that I want to leave behind is not because of what the company has done, but it's what I personally have stood for. Titles. Titles money, and status. All this one day would end up in the rubbish heap of history. And the reputations of integrity is far more important and lasting. Well, my real hope today in this speech is not that you would use it to exploit the world, the globalization opportunities offered by the new globalized world, but rather, if, 800 students here today, if 10%, that's 80 of us here could do the same thing for others, or hopefully 20%, I think you do what you can do to make this world a better place. I think the time that we spent together this morning would have been fruitful. Now, an American author first used this famous poem in the 1930s for religious purposes. And it says, if you were to look at the world that we live in today, it's actually, the accent resonates even more. How do you find the serenity to accept things that you cannot change? The courage to change the things you can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And how exactly do you do that? For some, I think the answer is to look inwardly, well, for many, trying to find some external powers to help you. Well, I'm sure that you would find a way that would one day build your own legacy. So, ladies and gentlemen, go for it. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lau, for an engaging talk. Ladies and gentlemen, another round of applause.
Thank you. My production team. Many people work together to put this content and this presentation together, just for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. We will now proceed with the unveiling of the commemorative plaques of the Multi-Purpose Hall and Center of Postgraduate Studies. We will begin with the Multi-Purpose Hall and thereafter to the Center for Postgraduate Studies at the Academic Building. I would like to invite Mr. Rohit Sharma, Professor Dr. Rahman Muhammad, Mr. Tan Yu Singh and Dr. Lifa On, together with their family members, Professor Dr. Insigne Dr. Muhammad Zawari bin Ismail, Mr. S.Y. Lau, our VIP guests, including external guests, alumni, former colleagues, INTI campus management staff, and members of the media, to proceed to the main entrance of the multi-purpose hall for the first unveiling ceremony. Our ushers will escort you accordingly. To the rest of our guests, we ask that you please kindly remain seated while our honored guests and members of the media make their way for the unveiling ceremony at the entrance. Our dear VIP guests, you are also invited to join us for the unveiling ceremony at the entrance of the multipurpose hall. To the rest of our guests, please kindly remain seated. Thank you very much for your kind cooperation.